Imagine two people pushing the same enormous boulder up the same hill. The first has been pushing for years. His shoes are worn out. His arms are shaking. And when he looks back, the boulder seems to have moved only a few feet. The second gives the boulder one small push, and it rolls forward almost by itself. That looks unfair. But in personal finance, both people can be the same person at different moments in their life. Before your first $100,000, nearly all the movement comes from you. After it, your money finally becomes strong enough to help. This is why Charlie Munger famously described the first 100,000 as so difficult and so important. But this video is not about worshiping a magic number. It is about understanding the mechanism behind it and using that mechanism even if your target is smaller, your currency is different, or you are starting from zero. Because the first 100,000 does not make you rich. It changes who is doing the work. At the beginning, your financial life is powered almost entirely by labor. You exchange hours for money. Then you use that money for rent, food, transport, bills, and a few things that make life enjoyable. Whatever remains has to build your future. Suppose Sebastian invests $500 every month. In his first year, he contributes $6,000. If the market has a good year and his investments earn 8%, the return on those contributions may still be only a few $100s because most of the money was not invested for the full year. Sebastian did the work. His portfolio barely helped. This is the emotionally difficult part. People hear stories about compound interest, open an investment account, wait 6 months, and discover that compounding looks less like a rocket and more like watching grass grow. Then life sends a bill, the car needs repairs, a friend goes on an expensive trip, a new phone appears, and the tiny investment gain suddenly feels pointless. Many people quit here, not because the strategy failed, but because it had not yet had enough time or capital to become visible. Now imagine Sebastian keeps investing $500 every month. Ignore taxes and fees for a moment and assume an average annual return of 8%. Returns are never smooth or guaranteed, but the example shows the shape of the journey. After 5 years, he has personally contributed $30,000. His portfolio might be worth roughly $37,000. Most of the results still came from his own pocket. After 10 years, he has contributed $60,000. The account might be worth around $90,000. Now the investments have added something meaningful, but Sebastian has still supplied the majority. Somewhere around year 11, he crosses $100,000. That means more than adding another digit to an account. At an 8% average return, a $100,000 portfolio can grow by about $8,000 in a typical mathematical year. Sebastian is only contributing $6,000. For the first time, the money may add more than the person. Of course, real markets do not deliver 8% on schedule. One year could be up 20%. Another could be down 15%. There will be boring years, frightening years, and years that make everyone feel like a genius. The point is not that $8,000 will arrive every December. The point is that the productive capacity of the portfolio has become comparable to Sebastian's annual effort. He is no longer pushing the boulder alone. This is also why the first 100,000 often takes longer than the second. Using the same simplified assumptions, reaching the first 100,000 might take Sebastian about 11 years. But reaching 200,000 could take only about 6 more. 300,000 might arrive around 4 years after that. His salary did not double. His discipline did not become superhuman. The growing base simply created larger potential gains. 8% of $10,000 is $800. 8% of 100,000 is 8,000. 8% of 500,000 is 40,000. The percentage is identical. The experience is completely different. That creates an uncomfortable truth. Early wealth building is less about investment brilliance and more about contribution rate. When Sebastian has $2,000 invested, spending weeks trying to find a fund that might outperform by 1% could add $20 over a year. Finding a way to invest an extra $50 each month adds $600 before any return. At the start, behavior beats optimization. That means the first lever is not discovering a secret stock. It is creating a reliable gap between what you earn and what you spend. The word gap matters. Extreme deprivation is rarely sustainable. If Sebastian cuts every meal with friends, every hobby, and every small pleasure, He may save aggressively for 3 months and then rebound into spending. A plan that makes him miserable is not efficient if he abandons it. Instead, he begins with the large, repeated expenses: housing, transport, debt interest, insurance, subscriptions he forgot about. One thoughtful decision in these categories can create hundreds of dollars every month without requiring 50 tiny acts of willpower. Then he automates the gap. The day after his salary arrives, money moves automatically into a diversified, low-cost investment. He does not wait to see what remains at the end of the month, because money with no assigned purpose tends to find one. Automation converts a good intention into a default. He also makes the contribution easy to increase. Whenever a recurring expense disappears, he redirects part of that amount before it vanishes into ordinary spending. When a loan is paid off, a subscription is canceled, or a cheaper insurance policy begins, the old payment does not simply become invisible pocket money. Some of it joins the investment transfer. This creates a ratchet. The contribution can move upward in small steps without requiring Sebastian to redesign his entire life. An extra $20 may look insignificant beside a six-figure goal, but permanent increases are powerful because they repeat. $20 this month is $20 again next month, and then it receives years in which to grow. He celebrates consistency, not perfection. Missing one contribution during a genuine emergency is not failure. The danger is allowing one interruption to become a new default. As soon as the situation stabilizes, the automatic transfer returns. The second lever is income. There is a floor beneath how little a person can reasonably spend, but there is no fixed ceiling on useful skills. Sebastian can negotiate, change roles, earn a certification, freelance, or build a small service around something he already knows. Not every attempt will work, and income growth usually takes time. But an extra $300 invested each month can matter far more in the early years than endlessly rearranging a small portfolio. The key is preventing lifestyle inflation from consuming every raise. When Sebastian earns more, the temptation is to upgrade everything at once: apartment, car, restaurants, clothes, holidays. A better rule is to divide the raise. He can improve his life today and increase his investment tomorrow. Enjoy some, invest some. Let progress be visible in both places. The third lever is avoiding catastrophic resets. Compounding needs uninterrupted time, and life is excellent at creating interruptions. Without an emergency fund, a broken appliance or lost job can force Sebastian to sell investments at the worst moment, or borrow at a high interest rate. Cash reserves may look unproductive beside investments, but their job is not to maximize return. Their job is to protect the machine. High-interest debt is another reset button. If a credit card costs 20% while an investment might average 8% before taxes, Sebastian is trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Paying off expensive debt can be the strongest guaranteed improvement available to him. Insurance, reasonable diversification, and avoiding reckless bets serve the same purpose. Reaching 100,000 slowly is frustrating. Reaching 80,000, gambling half of it on one exciting idea, and returning to 40,000 is devastating. Boring is not the enemy. Starting over is. The fourth lever is choosing a simple investment system Sebastian can continue through fear and excitement. For many people, that means broad diversification, low cost, regular contributions, and a risk level they genuinely understand. The exact account and tax rules depend on where you live, so this is education, not personal financial advice. But complexity should earn its place. If Sebastian owns something he cannot explain, checks it 10 times a day, or loses sleep whenever the price moves, it may be too speculative for the foundation of his future. The best plan on paper is useless if his emotions force him to sell whenever markets fall. Now, what if 100,000 feels impossible? Shrink the mountain. Do not stare at 100,000 every morning. Focus on the next milestone. The first 1,000 invested, then 10,000, then 25,000, then 50,000. Each stage proves a different skill. 1,000 proves you can begin. 10,000 proves you can repeat. 25,000 proves you can survive distractions. 50,000 proves the system has become part of your life. 100,000 proves your capital can become a meaningful partner. Track inputs more closely than outcomes. Sebastian cannot control next month's market return. He can control whether he made his contribution, increased his skills, kept fees low, and avoided an emotional decision. This distinction protects motivation during a market decline. If his account falls while he continues buying diversified assets at lower prices, the scoreboard looks worse, but his process may be working exactly as designed. He can also measure progress with more than an account balance. Is his emergency fund stronger than last year? Is expensive debt lower? Is his monthly contribution larger? Has his income become more resilient? Does he understand what he owns? These are quiet victories, and they often appear before the market rewards them. That wider scoreboard prevents one bad year from erasing the feeling of progress. It also keeps a strong year from creating false confidence. A rising market can lift careless and careful investors together for a while. The real test is whether the system survives when headlines turn frightening, friends begin to panic, and patience feels foolish. Sebastian does not need to predict that moment. He needs a plan made before it arrives. Enough cash for emergencies, a portfolio suited to his actual tolerance for risk, and a reason for investing that is more durable than excitement. There is another reason the first 100,000 changes everything, and it has nothing to do with mathematics. It changes identity. At first, investing feels like something Sebastian is trying. After years of consistent action, it becomes something he does. He stops asking whether he can afford to invest this month and starts treating the contribution like any other essential bill. He also begins measuring purchases differently. $1,000 is no longer only a phone, a weekend, or a piece of furniture. It is also capital that could work for decades. This does not mean he never spends. Money is supposed to support a good life. It means he sees the trade-off clearly and chooses on purpose. And perhaps most importantly, a growing portfolio creates options before it creates luxury. It can make a job loss less terrifying. It can give Sebastian time to leave a harmful workplace, move to a new city, care for family, or take a calculated career risk. The earliest return on wealth is not a sports car. It is breathing room. So here is a practical plan. First, calculate your current invested net worth. Do not include possessions merely because you paid a lot for them. Count productive investments, then subtract relevant debts. Second, choose the next milestone, not the final mountain. Third, select a monthly contribution you can sustain and automate it. Fourth, direct part of every raise or extra income payment toward that contribution. Fifth, protect the journey with emergency savings, a plan for expensive debt, and sensible diversification. Finally, review the system a few times a year, not a few times an hour. Your timeline may be shorter or much longer than Sebastian's. Your returns will be different. Your country, taxes, salary, family responsibilities, and starting point all matter. Comparison can teach, but it can also poison a perfectly good plan. The goal is not to reach someone else's number on someone else's schedule. The goal is to reach the moment when your money stops being only the result of your past labor and starts becoming a contributor to your future. The first 100,000 is difficult because you are building two things at once, the capital and the person capable of keeping it. At the foot of the hill, every push feels small. Keep pushing anyway. One day, almost quietly, the boulder begins to help. And when it does, you realize the most important milestone was never the number itself. It was building a system that can keep moving long after motivation disappears. If you want to understand not only how money works, but how it shapes the decisions we make, subscribe. This is Sebastian Makes Money.